welcome to the regularly scheduled mayor and council meeting for the town of Berlin. It is Monday, April 28th, 2025. Please join us in a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Actually, also, Paul Lynch, one of the former council members who just passed away. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. That can be approved in lump sum as long as there's no objection to pulling one of them out.
There's no objection, Mr. Mayor, but there is a correction.
Go ahead.
I had emailed Laura already, so she is aware. If you go to council packet page 4, the meeting minutes of April 7th, which is a closed session, it's listed as a regular session. Just for clarity, actually, I'm sorry, that should be the general fund work session of 4/7.
Okay.
And then that's the only correction that I have.
Okay. So, motion with the correction.
Oh, yeah, motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Orris with the correction, a second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Let the record reflect the approval of the minutes through consent agenda with the amendment passed unanimously with all council members present. All right, agenda item number 2 is the swearing in of board, commission, and committee members. Bob, we don't have you on the list, but I have yours here, so we're going to do Matt and Austin first. Let's see, I have Matt and Austin. Okay, Matt, you have a seat. We're going to do Bob first. If you don't mind texting Austin to see when he's coming up.
Yeah.
If not, we can table his for the evening. But Bob, come forward and we'll do yours together. And I see Pete as well. Thank you. Pete, I don't have your form, but we can still swear you in.
Okay.
So come on over here, Bob. Come on around to this side if you don't mind. Hey, we're going to knock some of these out tonight.
All right.
All right. So, we're going to start with I and then repeat after me. And your name comes after I. And then once we get to office of, just insert Board of Zoning Appeals. All right, so raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Robert Palladino,
do swear and affirm
do swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or
without
prejudice,
partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office Board of Zoning
Appeals according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on, we're going to get it.
She had to go. I'm going to show
Yes, perfect. All right. So then, Bob, we'll do one with you holding your hand up, raising your right hand, but facing me. We're going to stage this.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right, and then we'll do one together.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Oh,
Thank you.
good.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I
All
got
right.
you.
And then, hold on, Bob, you got to sign. And then you sign right there, and then initial in the bottom right. And then we can make sure that you get a copy as well. Perfect. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Quick and painless. Any idea on Austin's ETA?
No response.
Okay, well, we got Pete as a stand-in. So Pete, come on up. And yep, Matt, come on up. We'll do both of you together. Pete, you'll have to come back in to sign yours.
Sarah's printing it.
Oh, wow. See, that is efficiency. We'll swear you in first.
Okay.
And then, all right, so both of you come on around here. Raise your right hands. We're going to do the same thing that we did with Bob, the I, and then after the I, you fill in both your names. When we get down to the portion where it says office of, just insert planning commission. All right? So I,
T. Cosby,
thank you, do swear and affirm
do swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States,
the United States,
and that I will
and that I will
be faithful and bear true allegiance
be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the same,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality and prejudice,
without partiality and prejudice,
execute the office of,
execute the office of Planning Commission,
there you go, according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and the laws of the state.
Congratulations. Now there's a memory test. You got to write it all down verbatim.
Picture
Yes.
first or?
One class first. All right, then let's see. And then, hold on, let's see. And then you gentlemen sign here and initial down there. Sign here, initial down here. Let me take a picture here. For the stage.
Do you want them individually staged
It's
or
up to you.
together?
No, together. is fine. Unless you all need them.
All right.
All right, hold on. Stage, look toward me. Well, no, for the swearing in, raise your right hand.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to fake it, you know. Perfect.
Okay,
Kelsey?
great. Yep.
All right, now let's do one together. Yeah, I'll be in the middle.
You want to scooch over so you're more in line with the flags?
Perfect, yes, we'll follow.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Otherwise, I'll have to. All right, up next is agenda item number 3, which is a discussion for our healthcare renewal with One Digital, and we have Chris Carroll, Zach Hall, and Kelsey Jensen. So, come forward. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Thank you all again for all of your work that you do every year to help us with this, but I think the past 2 years, it's been a pretty favorable outcome, so we'd really like to see you under those circumstances.
We like to see you under any circumstance.
Well, I like to see you under any, but that one's even better. Thank you all.
So, as you know, we have Chris Carroll and Zach Hall with One Digital, and they, along with Amanda Campbell, are all instrumental in helping get all this together every year. They do all the hard work. I just come here and say, hey, I have good news, but it's them bringing the good news. So we'll go ahead and get started. I know it's a little hard to see on the screen, but it gives printouts as well. So and please chime in at any point if you want to add to anything I've said. But we came back an initial rate of 7.5%. Which, you know, not terrible, but not what we wanted to see. So, and then after the rate relief and early renewal credit, it got it down to a 3%, which was much better, much more favorable there.
I'll interject there if you'd
Yeah.
like, just to give you some of the background, make you do all the heavy lifting here.
There you go.
So from a standpoint of your budgeting and your plan, you've done some very creative things over the years in terms of how you structure your plan. Part of your costs are related to the premium from Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. That would be the element most likely that you would replace if it was unfavorable. We would look at other carriers, other markets, other financial arrangements. The second component of your health insurance program is the funding of claims. So we're buying a higher than average deductible, delivering a much stronger net benefit to your employees through the use of something called a health reimbursement arrangement or an HRA. As those two components work together, we kind of massage them and find the right balance and the right fit. Care First, starting out with that rate renewal at 7.5% is on trend, but higher than what we would like it to be. The health reimbursement arrangement, the other major component of your insurance, though, is running very well. We're running below budget there. So those two working together, we knew the part that we had to work on the hardest was the premium side on the 7.5. As Kelsey mentioned, that came in at a net 3, just through negotiations. That's a relationship that you developed with CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield. They like to be good stewards in this in the state and really support municipalities like yourself. So because of that, because of that longstanding relationship, that's where the 3% came from. As you're following along within any of the information on the printed copies, we're going to jump to pages 6 and 7. As we look at pages 6 and 7, we bring into the financial instrument the HRA. So because the health reimbursement arrangement is running at less than 0% is what we would reflect it. We're doing better than budget from the prior year. We would at a minimum start with that at 0% for the upcoming year. We'll discuss whether or not you're comfortable taking some additional budgetary risk on. But starting at 0%, when you blend the 0 for the health reimbursement arrangement with the 3% for the premium, the net impact to our program is 2.27% above current. So that's kind of the firm number that we're starting with. On page 7, you'll notice that when we add back in the utilization projections, one of my favorite terms in insurance, projected actual. What that basically means is that we have actual experience through a series of months, but we're projecting it through the end of the contract year. So we call that projected actual. When we work that number in, our advice is to reduce your HRA budget from 55% of projections to 45% of max, excuse me, not projections, 55% of max down to 45% of max. I think knowing your organization, you're not going to take that advice and keep it consistent, and I don't blame you for that. Being conservative with your budgets is probably smart, but again, it's our job as the people that turn this wrench every day to make some recommendations around it.
I want to pause there for a moment because didn't we adjust that last year? We were up in the 60% range.
We
and
went from
down to
65 to 55,
Right.
yes. We
And
discussed
what's our-
52 or 45 last year as well, but we decided 55 was a good start.
Projected actual, we're coming in at 30.08.
Okay.
So
And-
doing well.
And over the last 5 years, and I mean, well before that too, I don't think I've ever seen it above 32% in the time I've been here. But as you can see, over the last 5 years, 32% has been the highest we've seen. But I don't, we were going back and forth, like, do we even want to offer this again since we just lowered it last year? Do we want to give it another year
It
and
might
see
be
how we
wise to
do?
just give it another.
Yeah.
Happy to-
So-
sure, yeah.
So that's what we just wanted to present the numbers though. So if we leave it where it is with the current HRA utilization of 55%, we're looking at that 2.27% increase. So we actually didn't go any further than CareFirst because we do get that early renewal and what's the word I'm looking for, the loyalty credits there and stuff. So we felt like very comfortable with where this came back. So I don't think we need to look at any
With
other
that,
carriers right now.
The one thing I would like you to talk about, just because each year we have, since you brought it to our attention, is the ICHRA plan.
Absolutely.
In case, I want it to be familiar terminology in the event that we have to pull that lever.
Yeah, happy to. So ICHRA is a market alternative called individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement. That's a hybrid, basically where the employer is allowed to participate in the individual marketplace for their employees. The advantage in it is that the state is actually negotiating for you in bulk. And there's also some premium tax credits that are going into that to help subsidize and lower that rate. We kind of refer to it casually as a dog with fleas. It's very effective, but it does have some bumps along the way. Some of the things in particular are it's a calendar year benefit, so we would be switching to a calendar year contract period. So we would have 2 renewals in the short cycle here. And then the other component of it is that it is based on the member's age. So each individual member's age is factored into the rate. Quite frankly, in underwriting, so it is before you get your final rate, but it's averaged for you or aggregated versus you're actually going to see a billed premium by person. Not only the age of the member, but where they live. So Delaware is more expensive than Maryland as an example. You'd be at Highmark in Delaware, you'd be at CareFirst in Maryland most likely, although there are alternate carriers to choose from in both of those states. And then in addition to that, the makeup of the family itself. A family of 4 is not priced identically if that family of 4 is a 64-year-old, a 62-year-old with 2 college-age children versus a family of 29-year-olds, 28-year-olds with a couple of toddlers. So there is some complexity to the ICHRA, but its base rate is a great chassis that we can build an excellent plan from it for you. We've looked at it probably 4 or 5 years in a row at this point, and we have that lever locked and loaded if Care First or the others don't play nice.
The reason you don't see it here tonight is because with the rate coming in so competitively with Care First, I said to Kelsey, there's no need to go through that heavy lifting, but it is important for everybody to remember that terminology.
Is the deductible coverage the same as what we're offering?
You can build it. So we build the chassis, we build whatever we want on top. We can throw health savings accounts, we can build MERPs on the back end. We build it to what we call an actual computed value. So the plan value in total, in net, after you add all the components together, translates to an actual computed value, which is like a grade score ranging from 60 to 100. 100% ACV plan would be 0 deductible, 0 copay, 100% covered, just to kind of give you scale. And we can build whatever you'd like on top of the equipment.
It's a lot of work on the HR side of things, but in a year, if we're seeing like a high premium increase, it may be something that the mayor and council have to explore.
But the kicker is the age issue.
It is, it's just the complexity of it. So instead of buying one insurance contractor, you're buying 58 or 60 of them. So there's something there. But we try to make it like a duck. We're doing the paddling under the water, try to make it calm on top for your employees. But there is some mechanical elements of it that are a little difficult on the admin side.
Well, and the fact that, we don't know what the second renewal would come in at if we picked it up now. We'd have it till January, and then a new plan would have to go into effect, and we don't know what they would come back with in that timeframe. So it's hard to budget, too. It's hard to know.
Kelsey, speaking of the budget, when you first presented your budget numbers, what did you do, 7%?
We did, 10 or 15, 10%, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So there's going to be a significant.
Yes, yeah, there's going to be a decrease. I didn't actually run the numbers in ours yet because I wanted to see which path you guys wanted to go forward instead of running all of these tonight. But right now, yeah, we're going to see a significant decrease, and I will have those in there for the budget introduction. I'll give it to Natalie on that. Yep.
So I have just a general question. The utilization rate, we brought down from 65 to 55, and we are at the highest that we have on record is 32. The slides provide us 55 and 45. I'm just curious, what would 50 be?
Oh, yeah, so the midpoint there would be, let's see, 253 and, I'm sorry? 208. 208 and 253, so midpoint of that.
220.
A little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
Tell you that number.
Yeah, so the overall increase would go from 2.27 to 2.25.
No, the HRA dollars would drop or increase depending on which way we go up. Let me give you a hard number so that I feel better about it. 252 budget.
No, when he says a hard number, he is doing this on the calculator. So.
Yeah, so I'm just a $22,000 difference. So in your total picture, that's going to be, it's somewhere between that 2.27 and 0. So it's probably going to be somewhere around 1%. That's a rough number. But we can give you the exact. And we have all of these in working Excel too. So if you want to play around with parts of it, we've done that exercise before. Happy to share the underlying work process.
I wouldn't want to waste anyone's time. If the group is okay with 55, we'll just stick. But I just thought 50 would be a good number to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And we're always definitely happy
I don't want to
share
know
that.
100%.
What's that?
I don't want to know 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, any questions on the medical side of things right now?
Well, I very much remember last year taking it down from 65 to 55. I stayed at the bottom one. I definitely am okay with supporting the concept of staying at 55 for another year. But I do think a year from now, if we're still in the 30s, that'll be 6 straight years.
Yeah.
We really consider it. We may also play the insurance lottery. Probably are seeing. We've been fortunate.
Yeah.
It seems the last few years. So at some point, probably going to be our turn. So maybe that's the year that we play that.
That's kind of where my head was too. I mean, I think right now, leave it as is. We're not in a really rough spot. I think that if they come back, next year with that, we can consider that as long as we're still within that 30% range. That's exactly where I was kind of
And then just one thing I just wanted to share too, I think it's important for all of our employees to know that, while it's a small increase, that's not being passed on, correct?
Well, I was going to give you some options. I try to always present a couple options. So I do have, here, we'll get to that. So that's
Now,
just,
talking this through, are you seeing anything on the horizon that would indicate that after the past couple of years that we might be seeing something?
We are.
Next year?
Yeah, so one of the things that's concerning nationally, and McKinsey supports this, is on the analytical side, is that COVID actually suppressed claims for a period of time, and contracts were negotiated under that umbrella, and a lot of the major hospital contracts are now expiring. So we are potentially seeing a turn back up to significant double-digit medical inflation again. On the private insurance side, for the pressures of two areas. One, Medicaid contracts, things along those lines are in great peril. So that's a major concern. And the private market generally is asked by the hospitals and the healthcare systems to make that delta up. So you're going to see great pressure. We experienced it locally very recently, where it's not all the way done yet with the University of Maryland and United Healthcare. So, we've only seen that one other time in the last 27 years where the two of them did not play ball, and they took it literally to the 28th day of February. They extended it 30 days. They've extended the negotiation another 30 days, but they have not come to complete terms under a contract. So that's what we've seen locally, but that's supported by McKinsey's analysis that this could be significantly higher upturn in the next 12 months.
If we were looking at double-digit paper napkin math, let's say we were at 10% with the budget, where would we be healthcare-wise? Like, what would that cost us?
Yeah, that what's the total number? Just because I can't see what it is.
well, in the budget, we had 10%, and it was an increase of 218,000.
Just from the previous year?
Medical at 10% is probably probably 125,000 a year.
Total?
Yeah, you had the other.
I'm looking at that.
That's total?
I'm including like HRA and all that, so sorry.
125 is total.
Yeah.
So if we were looking at that,
Yeah. We
20-ish thousand, maybe 30,000 would be the, if we were at a 10% next year, and we're running at 125.
Yeah, to see how much of that can be mitigated by positive run on the HRA. So if you're at 125 on that and the HRA runs, if the HRA runs at, if we move that down by 15%, that makes up about 40% of it,
Okay.
somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, like from our standpoint, because of what we know about this alternate marketplace, I don't think I see handing out an increase of greater than 10% in the next 4 years.
Okay.
Without going to ICHRA as the backup plan.
Natalie, we have a healthcare reserve, correct? And we've kept that kind of stable. What happens, and I mean, I'd like to talk this through One Digital plus my colleagues up here. What happens if we took One Digital's recommendation, went down to 45% on the HRA, and took the savings that we're potentially going to see in the percentage for this year's budget and move that over to the healthcare savings as a dedicated contribution in FY26 and bolster us for potential increases for FY27.
Go back to the page, I'm not sure who's got control of PowerPoint, so they can see those numbers.
Well, how much is in that?
It's in
Or that?
the HR, the health, roughly 300,000.
That number is 55,000.
For which part?
That change in the delta. So that would be pages 6 and 7, comparing a 2.27 increase to a minus 1.23 is the difference in that HRA utilization. So if you took if you pre-took the projection that the utilization is going to fall by that 10%, from 55 to 45,
Right.
that's what that number would be.
Roughly $55,000. So if we had a dedicated contribution of $55,000, that just encompasses the HRA side of things.
Yep.
And then if we could run the numbers on our end, from what we budgeted versus what the actual renewal would come in at. If we
Oh,
took
that's,
care of-
that's huge.
What-
Yeah,
how
That's,
much-
that's a big number, because if you're at -1 versus +10 on a, on a $102,000 monthly budget, it's a big number.
So-
1.2 million, delta of 12%.
We can,
I think we complicated a little bit. Let's-
I understand
yeah,
that,
we
but
just-
I'm okay with a little bit of that discussion. I think we're going to have a firm number before we introduce the budget, but I'd really like to mitigate a future year increase
That would do
and
it.
know that we have a lever to pull if we're looking at that. How do you all feel about it?
Well, I guess I just misunderstood the assignment, because that's why I asked for the 50, because I thought we were kind of trying to figure out what was going to happen a little bit in this too.
So we jumped past it. We said, what if so in this year's budget, see if I'm understanding and following correctly as well. So in this year's budget, if we took the 10%, but then we budgeted the HR utilization at the 45%, that delta would be an expected 110%, and we netted at a -1.27. So there's about an 11 or 12% delta on what we're going to put in next year's budget versus what we put in prospectively in next year's budget. That 11% could be said, let's take the hit on the budget since we budgeted for it and put it in reserve,
Or a portion of it.
or a portion of it.
Right.
And that means that you've built a safety net against next year being, so the way that, and we do this a lot in self-funded cases, what we'll end up doing is saying if we run well this year, take 50% of that surplus, put it back into next year. To your point earlier about if we go 4 or 5 years in a row, it will eventually catch up, and then you have those reserves pre-funded. You're basically doing that the same way in a fully insured environment.
And we get to try the year of Steve's idea, which I think the council probably shares, is getting closer to that actual utilization rate while still having
Safety net
a
place.
safety net, a lever to pull.
Yep. And again, I'll work these numbers through as my homework assignment. I'll report it back to you and also give it to you in a format where you can play around with it.
Would you all be okay with that?
But just so I'm clear, at the 2.27, our reserves would remain, where they are.
Correct. 300,000, you'd have a savings in the budget. It could, I think a portion of it should go to contingency, but we got to find that sweet spot.
So let's
of what
play
it
the
could be.
scenario where we'll run with the same HRA utilization as it is, as we budgeted as of fiscal 25 and 26. And then by the end of fiscal 26, we will run the numbers and see where we stand. And whatever comes as a saving between what was budgeted and not utilized, we will assign from unassigned balance after the audit and place it additionally on the top of the house. So budgeting and building the reserve to different things right now. We're planning.
You could do a
closing the
dedicated
year.
transfer.
Yeah, of course you can do
Yeah.
that as a pre-planning, but what I'm suggesting is just running the numbers as we are right now at 50%. What we have.
55.
55%, leave it as is. If we close fiscal 26 on the lower than 55%, that delta we will convert from the unassigned balance to house savings at the end and put in reserve.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's going to be significant.
Yep.
So then we prepared for fiscal 27 and 28 in case what if, so we can
Well, let's,
be
I
prepared.
don't think we need to decide that right this minute. We can keep it where it's at, but I would like, Chris, if you could run those numbers that we talked about, I'd like to see it before introduction. I would like to hedge a little bit for next year, one way or the other. We can talk that through the best way.
My concern was we have no contingency built into the budget. And
Yeah.
So I'd rather see the savings from the drop-down percentage.
I agree, we need some contingency,
Yeah.
but
But I'm fine if we want to go to 45. Balance it.
let's revisit that when we actually have our numbers, and we can go through a plan with the introduction of the budget.
Yep. I'll model that out for you.
Thanks.
So that I'm clear, and for the introduction of the budget, am I putting in the 2.27 with the 55% utilization?
Correct, for
Okay.
now.
And then we will see when he comes back with the 50 and, okay.
And Natalie, can you keep that savings and just put it into contingency for each one of those funds?
whatever is going to be delta between the decrease in healthcare and decrease or increase on workers' comp and all other numbers will be close to contingency. So it will be, we can give you the number, just the delta. It will not equal just exact.
That's fine. Thank you. Do you need for us an action, or, yeah, would be, we can action tonight?
Yeah, I mean, typically, we've gotten your approval, just to move forward with this. I don't have a formal, like, written motion, but just to move forward with putting this in the budget so that, you know, we can.
Your formal approval to come as part of the
Yeah.
budget process.
That's fine.
Yes,
So
yeah.
consensus to move forward with Care First renewal as presented, and then we'll discuss how we want to move forward with the premiums.
What are the options?
Well,
Yeah, I
the premiums we'll get to in a moment, but I just want to make sure we're all on board with Care First, staying with the provider. All right, let's talk about our options as far as how the premiums go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. It doesn't matter, go ahead.
So page 11 has the snapshot of the 26 payroll deductions for medical starting in 2019, and then shows the consistency over the last policy years of 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24. In 25, which will be starting in July, let's start on pages 12 and 13, we've outlined 4 different scenarios just to give us a starting point for a conversation. None are particularly recommended. If there would be a recommended option, it would probably be A or B. A would be the town absorbing 100% of the increase, again, because the delta of doing so well versus budget. And B would be maintaining the same pro rata share. Right now, we pay about 83% of the premium, but we'd be maintaining that. Oversimplification, how you may finally do the math in the end, but it gives us 2 good starting points. C and D on page 13, which is generally a pretty lucky number in our house, so I hate having the bad options on 13, but I'll apologize to my daughter later.
My favorite number.
Yeah, my daughter's too. I have the coolest picture of her walking off of Decatur High School with 13 on the back of her jersey and a 13-13 tie game and lacrosse game. It sticks in my head every time I see the number. So those scenarios show the impact to the employees by whether the town absorbs that budgetary increase above current, not above what we budgeted for, but above current, or the alternatives if we share some of that impact with the employees via payroll deduction. So to give you an example, under option B, an employee would go from $23.64 26 times per year to $24.23. A family would go from $195.28 to $200.14. So both would be considered very modest increases, but that would be a way to save $4,000 annually if we wanted to do that as a means of reducing the impact of increase versus current.
And
Well,
talking
and I
through
did-
things with Kelsey, my recommendation was the option A, which is us taking the full, but knowing that this is how many years in a row that we've taken the
This will be
full.
year 6.
So, and we've made out favorably, but if we're looking, the employees should know, and department heads should share, that if we take that route, that if we have an unfavorable year, you gotta understand that we're gonna have to pull some other levers. But that would be my recommendation.
Just so you're aware, I ran option B at what it would cost to the employee. Starting at an individual plan, we're looking at $15 a year. Going all the way up to the family plan, it's $127 a year increase. So I mean, you know, I don't think that's too bad, you know, when you break that up over 26 pay periods. But so I wanted to point that out as well. I mean, you know, I'm all for the town absorbing it, but I also am trying to be realistic in the sense that, you know, this is year 6, so I'm definitely open to option B, but I would not recommend C or D. I think that that's a little hard on the employees, but I think, you know, ranging from $15 to $127 a year, I didn't think was, you know, unheard of, but, so those are some other options to consider as well.
What is this?
I don't think so. I think we eat it and we make sure that it's passed along.
Okay.
Yeah. Dean said, I don't think we need to pull the levers of switching it.
Okay, all right.
But how does your feel?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's so, first off, it's nominal, but then it becomes a kind of a.
Another thing, right.
Unfortunate message that sends, so I.
You're right, yeah.
The paper cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sixth grade.
Well, and I
years.
hate to be the one to say, like, I'm not totally against it, you know, because I am all for the increases for the employees and stuff, but I just being realistic in the sense that, like, you know, it's not unheard of to see some small increases.
Yeah, at some point in time.
Yeah.
Well, we might talk about that a little bit when we get to the dental side. We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had some dental options as well,
But hold on, everybody feels good? Yeah.
leaving it where it is. Okay.
Perfect. Option A. Does this make year 7?
This would be year 6.
This would be year.
Yeah, we have not changed it in 5 years, so this is 6. Okay, I will leave that, and then, dental came in at, it initially came in at 8.5%, and again, with, you know, some of that negotiation that One Digital is really good at, we were able to get it, they were able to get it down to a flat 5%. You know, we have the upgraded plan and the base plan, and they averaged out at 5% increase. So the only thing we wanted to point out here was the individual health care plan and the individual dental plan are quite close in that that rate. So the individual health care plan is 23 per pay, and I mean the current dental for an individual is 15 for the base plan, 17 for the upgrade. We felt like proportionately our dental seems kind of high when the medical is 23 a pay, so we wanted to explore some options for that as well. So I asked them if they minded, you know, taking a look and seeing if we were to, as the town, maybe pick up some of the dental to make it a little bit more proportionate. Right now, they are fully funded. Dental and vision are fully funded by the employee. So they ran some figures to see about the town picking up some of that plan. And while they did a great job explaining it to me, I might let them talk about how they did their cost share there. I have notes, but they're probably a lot more efficient.
The easy math, the one that we shared orally, is for every $10 you contribute, it's going to cost you approximately $580 a month on the budget. So that could be a third of the individual rate, as an example, or you could do $20, which would be about 2/3 of the individual rate. The two that we put in the book with you, for you, was just to give you a starting point so that you had a budget number that said, do we want to spend $12,000 a year on dental, $24,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and then kind of go from there of how you would allocate those funds. The first one, option A, is you can cover 100% of the employee-only rate. I'm not necessarily a big fan of 100% of anything, but it just gives you the math to say that would translate, based on our current enrollments, to being a $2,000 budget item a month. From the employee's perspective, it would mean that their dentals would drop considerably in terms of what was coming out of their paycheck, dropping to 0 for the individual, and then that same dollar amount would be allocated towards the family contribution, and then those numbers are illustrated there for you. So you can see that what the per pay cost would be for employee, spouse, children, and family. The other end of the spectrum is to share it more evenly across singles and families, so you're making contributions to the single and you're making contributions to the family. And that translates to the same $2,000 a month number. It's saying philosophically, how would you want to do it? Do you want to kind of focus it on the employee, and because maybe the spouse has a dental option somewhere else, or do you want to kind of spread it evenly to take some of the sting out of the family dental rate for members? That's a $2,000 budget. What would a $1,000 budget number be? It would be covering half of the individual rate. What would a $580 budget be? It would be covering $10 towards whatever you purchased. So you can really establish it based on saying, yes, I do see that at some point the dental might become more expensive for a payroll deduction than the medical, which just feels a little bit off. So you can maybe level set that a little bit by contributing towards the dental if you believe it's part of the core package.
Got a lot of numbers going on.
I know, there is, yeah. I
So
know.
I'm just gonna.
Like pull
I'm
them.
All right.
I'm so cold, my brain
There you go.
can't. Jimmy is in charge of that.
let me try to sink my teeth in it.
Well, I'll try to explain it how I understand it, because I felt like, it's, basically, right now, our insurance per month is $34 for an 34 and some change for an individual plan. So what that would do is if your family plan is normally $75, I'm looking at the wrong one. If your family plan is normally $99.62 a month, we're going to take $34.40 away from that. It's still covering just the individual. So the employee would be free, and they would be paying the difference to have their family on the plan. So their family plan, instead of being $99.62 a month, would be $70.21 a month. Basically, we're just paying for just the employee. Anything above that, the employee would be responsible for.
And what do we do now?
Right now, the employee fully funds dental and vision. So this would give us, it would cost, if we were to go with the option on, my pages are different because I went with the original one. So, if we were to go with the options on page 16 in your pamphlet, that would cost about $24,000 a year. If we were to say, hey, we're going to pay half of what it would cost the employee in a month, so about what, 17 or if we were to go with half of what the employee cost is and do the same across the board, so just covering half, and then the employee picks up the rest for their family or the rest for themselves, we're looking at $11,970 annually. So I don't feel like that's too bad to subsidize some of that and us only be paying $11,970 annually. But saying to the employee, like, hey, we realize your dental is a little expensive. We're going to cover half of the cost of the individual. You cover anything above that. So, I mean, just some options here.
Do we notice any staff that confidentially maybe to you say, hey, look, I opt out of dental because I can't afford it?
I see it sometimes, and I don't ask if that's why they're not picking it up, but I do see a lot of times where someone will pick up just our medical plan and nothing more, but I don't like to
Do we have a ballpark for us on like what that looks like? And what's the trend? Like,
numbers are here. We have 58 currently enrolled in dental. We have, how many in medical? It's listed here as well.
Now, what's the national trend?
Your dental rates are not like egregiously high or anything right this second. Even at the renewal at 5%, I mean, they're about right where they should be for the base plan and the upgrade plan. In like a normal market state for any given group out there, $35 is fairly standard. So it's not like yours are $50 a month, whereas your neighbors are $35.
What about employers? Do you see them covering on trend a portion of the cost?
Yeah, I would say between 50 and 80% of the single rate. And the math, and it's interesting because I probably only had one conversation with an employee of yours around it, but it was actually a person with an insurance background, and their formula was this plan is going to cost me $500 a year, and I only go to the dentist for a cleaning or two, and I'm fortunate enough to not have a cavity. So when they start doing that math, you're starting to see that their share of it might be feeling a little high.
Cheaper for them to pay out of pocket to get this corrected.
They're starting to
Many
figure it out.
dentists also now offer where you can pay a once a year fee and you're covered for those ordinary things. So there are things that.
A lot of moving pieces.
We make a joke that in America, if you are wealthy, you get to keep your teeth. But it's true. I mean, it's a lot of people don't want to pick this up because it is more of a luxury item in their eyes. But teeth have a major effect on your body.
They've been linked to your overall health.
So I don't know, we were just thinking to maybe subsidize some of that, but these numbers can be, they said they could put in whatever we want them to put in, covering the full employee, covering half of the employee. They said we could just say, hey, we'll cover $20 towards everyone's plan regardless, per month or something. So we can really kind of do whatever we want here. We just wanted to start by giving you some examples.
All right.
But I guess on page 15 here. So I guess if I'm so if I'm an employee, I'm now paying per pay $32.76 on the base plan.
Yeah, jump forward one page, you'll get a better feel for the employee feel of it.
Which page, I'm sorry?
Just one forward.
16 in your packet.
And you have two dental plans to choose from, a base and an upgrade. And if we came down to the employee share, under current, that would be the first column you see labeled dental, blue dental +2 current. The monthly starts at $32.76. The current employer contribution is 0, netting at an employee cost of $32.76 monthly, or lastly, the most important number, which is I think the one that you were trying to have us focus on, and apologize for the numbers, but is that 1512?
1512.
1512, thank you. So 1512 is that current number if an employee wants to cover just themselves for dental under the base option.
Yeah, and 1711 for the upgrade plan. That's the current rates there.
The oversimplification in this is to say, are you interested in covering any of it? And if so, we can tell you what the budget impact would be if you do it as a percentage, or if you just do it as a flat dollar. There's 58 belly buttons covered as employees. If you do $10 a belly button, it's $508.
So how does the group feel? Hold constant, employer or employee hold on, or is there an appetite to want to cover some of that expense? Sorry, I'm trying to eat and talk.
That's fine. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, just looking here at the numbers, I mean, this doesn't seem horrible if I'm reading it right.
No, comparing current to renewal, there's no major disconnect.
Right.
The disconnect, if there is one, is just that at this point, our full-blown medical is $23.64 a pay. Our base dental is $15 and $12 a pay. We all know that they are completely disproportionate in terms of the annual premium that we're paying for one versus the other. And it's just saying at any point, do we want to be stewards of that for our members or not? I mean, again, we're not making a judgment there, but if you were to ask what the trend is, or what do in the insurance service they say, what do employers like me do, like that kind of thing, it would be closer to covering 50 to 80% of that premium.
How does the group feel?
I'm good at the 50%.
Well, I mean,
That's
first,
reasonable.
let's talk about whether you feel an appetite to want to pick up
Yeah.
any portion of it.
Yeah.
Is it yes?
I do, great.
Okay, so now what would your recommendation be? Flat rate, percentage, what do you think?
I would use a
Keeping
flat
in mind
rate.
that years in the
Yeah.
future, it could go up.
I would use a flat rate. You know, I would use a $20 or $25 contribution towards the employee.
Per pay.
And then that's monthly,
Per
so
month.
you're leaving some behind for them. So like, let's just start with a round number because it makes the math easy on me. If we do $20 per employee, $20 per employee. I say a lot of things out loud that are supposed to stay in my head. But,
Fine.
$20 per employee per month translates to $1,060 over the course of the year. I'm sorry, $1,160 over the course of the year. And the month, excuse me. And that number would significantly reduce what the employees are paying, whether it's single or family, as a percentage of what they're paying today. I think it would be noticeable, they would feel that difference.
Why don't we do that?
I
If the
I
group
think
feels-
too, the point that on the paying a flat amount versus a percentage also kind of evens it out. If the employee chooses to go to the higher level plan, you're sort of covering the base.
Yeah.
And then choices beyond that are on
You said 20, what would 25 be?
So you made the math.
And I mean, we can always, like, I guess,
$14.50.
I can always send it back out, but then we don't have another meeting before the budget.
And I'm a little confused here
introductions.
because earlier you said most companies are doing 50 or 80%. Now you're saying let's do a flat rate.
Yeah, it would translate to a percentage,
Yeah.
just to give you a flavor for how much they're doing, but it's often done as an input of dollar.
And yet you worked out the numbers on this program at
That's because,
50%.
that was because Kelsey and I were tabletop.
Yeah, we
We
were,
wanted to give options. That was it.
this
It
was
wasn't
kind of just a,
directed.
hey, here's an idea, let us know which path you want to go forward with it, if at all.
Yeah, these two are distinctive from the standpoint of, do we narrow the focus on if we do anything, do we narrow the focus on the employee, or do we blend it across the family? I kind of like to narrowly focus it on the employee as a fixed dollar amount. It's just easier to absorb, and it's easy for us to kind of budget it out. And you're not committing to anything long-term. You're saying, hey, I do see that this would be a nice benefit for us to add, and this is what we can handle budget-wise, and the employees can opt in or bring their family in, and they get the same financial benefit.
But when you say you're not committing long-term, I mean, it's hard to walk something like that back.
Well, I apologize. I meant to say, if we get a 4 or 5 or 6% increase,
Yeah.
we haven't committed ourselves to trend.
To a percentage.
Gotcha.
You committed to it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about the flat rate, that I like the percentage idea, but then it does shield us from the massive increase.
So,
But I just was, so we talked about 50 and 100%, and I'm not smart enough, I don't think, what percentage is the $20?
It would be 58%.
Thank
Ah,
you.
my man.
So we're a little high. Good job.
I think we were trying to.
You figured out where we're
I don't even do
at. Yeah, so 58. So, bad, Jack.
What percent?
I think I should maybe wait.
With the 25 be?
Sure.
We don't want that.
Making Zach work.
That's a point. 72%.
Ooh.
So let's 73%.
And that is like, again, of the employee only, so anything above they would be responsible for.
My biggest thing is I want to be able to cover the single. You know what I mean? If you bring in your family, that's, in my opinion, on you. But I don't want any of our staff to do without dental.
Well, the single is the $34.40 a month, just so you.
But we're getting close.
Yeah, yes,
Right.
yes. Yeah.
We're in the range that I would explain that as, if the employee doesn't want to pay for the other $9 or $14, depending on where we are for the 20 or the 25, then it's probably not worth us spending 20 or 25. So that you're creating some equitable balance in the decision process.
Yeah.
So where do we stand, folks?
Out of curiosity, do we offer the dental or eye to employees who are not participating in the?
We do.
Okay, I just.
Straight à la carte. Yep.
Yeah.
So the question there, just to rephrase it, I apologize to answer before you fully asked the question, was if I want to just select dental, can I do that and not select the medical, or are they tied? They are completely independent from one another. Medical, dental, and vision can be selected independently and at different levels. I can go single, medical, full family dental.
Okay.
So where do we stand? Fixed rate, 20, 25?
I'm for 25.
I knew that.
25?
$22.50. Do I
Yeah, we're not doing that. 20 to 25.
You got a gavel.
We're not doing that. Yeah, we're not doing that. I hate it to this day.
Yeah, no,
We got it done.
How do you feel about it?
It's a sting every year, man. I gotta get ready and read it again, and it stings there. So, all right, come on. 20 or 25? Dean's for 25?
20.
20?
25.
25? Jack?
Well, you all lost me on this whole thing. I don't really understand.
Do you like 20 or do you like 25?
I don't really understand why we are increasing this. I'm confused.
So, nutshell, help me if I'm...
for, like, just let me see if I understand. For healthcare, we held it, and we're paying for everything.
Well,
Well,
we're absorbing,
we're
we are
absorbing.
only absorbing the increase, which is about $4 grand, right?
2.27%.
Okay, so we're absorbing that.
Give or take about $4 grand?
Now for dental,
Yeah.
now for dental, it's fine. You don't.
For dental, it was just an option.
Right.
We were just-
I'm just yes. And
Yes.
this for dental, we are suggesting covering. Am I correct in this? Covering. Subsidizing whatever the plan is that they choose. That
Offering a benefit,
for an employee only.
offering a benefit of a fixed rate,
That
Rather
will
than a
cover the
percentage.
employee.
and it won't even fully cover the employee rate.
The employee,
They'll still be out of pocket some.
Remember the math, between 58 and
Yes.
72% of the individual rate.
$9 or 14.
If you make a contribution of $20 or $25. The concept of why we would do this, why are we adding money to the budget somewhat arbitrarily? It's because we're looking at the dental rate as starting to become an encumbrance for people to elect the benefit, and a little disproportionate to what some of our other employers in the area would do for an employee towards support of dental.
So then for the group here, if we get into a situation where the health insurance is going to be an issue that we talked about earlier, and we have our stabilization, are we going to then throw in, are we going to include anything that would happen with dental and vision that's going to come after this?
That's why we're picking the flat rate, because it hedges us a little bit on, if there's a huge increase, we can say, hey, look, we're still holding at our 20.
And
Or
20,
25.
and the 20 or 25 is about $11,000 on the budget.
It is.
I have, $20 came out to $13,920 annually. If we go 25, I have $17,400 annually.
Thank you.
Okay.
Steve, do you have
Our
a feeling
calculators.
2025,
I say 20, 13 is the way to go.
20, 25, 25,
25.
25, Jack? 0? 20?
I'm sorry, it's nothing, I don't understand why we're adding like that, when it's such a minimal, I mean, it's $2.
Yeah, it's not a relationship to current versus the new year, it's a relationship to other employers. So I would say, I can reference a similarly situated employer as yourself. They pay a $25 contribution towards their individual. They set that about 5 years ago, and they have not moved it. So if the dental goes up 1 or 2%, maybe the dental doesn't go up 1 or 2%, maybe it goes up 15% because they enhance the benefit and add the $2,000 max out of pocket. The fact that you have that kind of anchor in there as an employer contribution, it makes it more in line with other employers. It's not relevant to what last year and this year was.
Does this 5% increase include any additional services or coverage?
It does not. The one interesting thing about the dental, though, in terms of the increase, we've experienced 1% decreases since we've been with Care First because of their early renewing strategy. A little unsophisticated by their underwriters, and this is kind of level setting that a little bit. We are still actually under the prior carrier to Care First rate as a monthly rate equivalent. So Care First has actually been sliding down the last few years, and they're just kind of bringing it back up to where it was.
Just a recap. Jay, Dean, Steve at 25, Shanika at 20. Jack, anything or no?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. So we'll, by consensus of the majority, would you get behind the 25 if you saw it in the budget?
No, I mean, if it's there, you already got the number.
No, but I'd like to have a budget that has.
I like the 13, that's just me, I like the 20, 20 is clean, not dealing with extra dollars, that's just my thought. But I mean, 25 is 25.
Okay. Can we run the budget with the 25?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you all.
the last part is vision, and vision actually went down 1.01%, which is $86 annually across all of our employees, so it's really not a big number there, but it's a decrease, we'll take it. So it went down, 1.01%.
Two large pizzas for the year.
Yeah.
But this is actually a good illustration as to what happened with the dental over the last few years. This early renewal credit that they're giving, hey, we don't need rate, so we're going to hold it, but then we're going to give you a 1% for early renewing, so you get a little bit of this kind of waterfall effect, and that's what we've kind of caught up to us on the dental a little bit.
And this is 100% of the employee?
Yes,
It is.
the employer pays 100%. Yeah.
I keep this the same.
Yeah, no, I think we should
Everybody agree?
crawl.
That's $6 for the employee.
It's actually anywhere from $1 to $3 annually for the employee. So 86 total for all of our employees.
Per month.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah, per month,
per
yes.
month cost of
Yes.
$6.80, and then you would convert that to 26 pay for their deduction.
Yep. So.
So keep vision the same. Let's
Yep.
move to health.
And the last thing is something we explored, but we're not recommending tonight. So Mary and I last year were talking about it with One Digital, but we didn't end up moving forward with presenting it last year. But we had reached out to principal about, we have a $50,000 life insurance policy for all of our employees that the town funds. We've done that for a very long time now, but we're seeing a lot of other organizations do equal to 1 year compensation. So with a maximum of $150,000 and a minimum of $50,000. So the employees making under 50 would not get any less. They'd still get 50, but a max of 150 there. And annually that increase came out to $3,487. But we're not recommending it tonight because the monthly cost per thousand, any amount over $50,000, it has to be reported for taxes. It has tax implications on the employee, which we ended up working out, and it was very minimal. But it's supposed to be a benefit to the employee. We do not want it to cause a tax burden to the employee for something that we've provided for a long time with no tax burden to the employee. So I don't know if you want to add anything there, but
Yeah,
it's just not.
the imputed income tax tables are annoying. You don't actually charge a benefit based on what we pay. the IRS comes up with a calculation. It's age-based, so the rate changes for a 20 to 25-year-old to 25 to 29-year-old. When we look at it, if someone was $50,000 above the threshold, as an example, it's $2.50 of income that would be taxable for a 25-year-old, but it would be $75 a month that would be taxable for a 64-year-old. It just generally feels like the juice isn't worth the squeeze to have to be doing imputed income calculations on a benefit that many employees may not see much from.
Yeah, and it's more administrative work, both for us, and for myself, and for One Digital. We have to, like I said, it's based on age, it's based on salary, so you have to do individual calculations for every employee. And
whoever runs payroll gets the final juice at the end of the year when they get a report that they have to load all that in and tax the member accordingly. So, generally speaking, unless there's some real reason for it, we would be against it.
Yeah, we still just wanted to present it though, because it was something we did look into, but they came back with no increase on that $50,000 policy, so.
Everybody go with the same?
Yeah, it's important to note too, this is not a portable benefit. It's not something that the employee can take if they leave, so.
Yeah.
There's only one way you take it.
But we do offer.
They can buy additional, supplemental
Plus the
insurance.
word, extra life insurance on their own through options that we offer.
Yes, yeah.
That are portable, they can take with them.
So just to recap my homework, so I'm going to work up the numbers from a modeling standpoint to prepare the surplus that's projected actual for this year in the HRA for your consideration to where you would like those funds to be allocated potentially as part of reserve. In addition to that, the surplus that we are recommending by reducing the 55% utilization to 45% for the upcoming 2025 contract year. And then finally, I'll get a firm number from Kelsey concerning the budget versus what we are presenting at 2.27% above current and that delta. So you'll have 3 deltas to consider as part of maybe reserving some portion of that for future use.
Any additional questions for One Digital? I keep wanting to call you Dealey, but.
I know, right?
I know.
I want to call it, I'll start saying Atlantic Smith proper.
All right, well, thank you all. Zach, on behalf of all of us, please accept our condolences on the passing of your father.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you all. Have a
Thanks for
great
having
evening.
us, guys.
Great to see you guys.
Great to see you too.
And this is not health insurance related, so I didn't want to get too far into it, but we are looking at a decrease for workers' comp as well. They came back with numbers late in the day, so I haven't had a chance to really run them, but it is a definite increase from what we have budgeted. So we'll see some savings there as well.
Increase or decrease?
I'm sorry, decrease.
Oh,
When I
okay.
say increase, I'm sorry. My brain's
increase,
yeah,
so
it's been a
decrease.
Monday, yeah. But no.
She did, but then she said increase. It was just a,
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you, Kelsey. Great work. All right, up next is the agenda item number 4, first reading of ordinance 2025-01. That's the FY26 real estate tax rate, which is being introduced as a flat rate from last year, keeping the percentage the same. Gaskell, do I need to read it?
You don't have to, but you can. You've already summarized it. That-
All right, I'll summarize it. There we
That
go.
the rate is remaining the same.
So ordinance, and this is first reading, so no public hearings. And the public hearing will be at the next mayor and council meeting, which is May 12th. Thank you. So this is ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Berlin, setting the real property tax rate for fiscal year 2026. This is pursuant to the town charter C310, which requires the mayor and council to pass an ordinance setting the real property tax rate for our budget. The introduced tax rate, like I said, is the same as FY25, and that is at our wonderful rate of 0.8275 cents per $100 of assessed value. And with that, is that okay? A good enough summary?
Good.
Perfect.
What was that number again, Mr.
0.8275.
Painfully, it is 0.8275.
I remember that.
Do we want to talk about how we got there, folks?
Jay and I.
Mayor, I'm just gonna add a little bit.
We did, we split the difference, but it was good.
That's right.
Yes,
Just
go
a
ahead.
couple of things to add for the public. In the past, we had to advertise this big fancy comparison to constant yield and calculate above constant yield. 2023 or in 2023, the state actually amend that, and if we are not changing the rate, we don't have to calculate. So constant yield short story is no longer playing an importance of whether we're above or below. We're just looking at our assessed base value change multiplied by the current rate. If we are increasing the rate, even if it's a fraction of a penny, then we have to advertise that in details. But in general, right now, the public sees advertisement in newspaper, just we are discussing the rate, proposing the rate, and then we will adopt the rate.
And if you want to kind of see how much that changes from one fiscal year to the next, you can look at the general fund revenues under real
Or
property
all the
tax.
rates are posted on the ASDAT
Right.
website. There is a huge
Perfect.
table out there for
There.
every single municipality as well.
And if anybody has a particular question, they can always call and ask for you.
No.
All right, perfect. What's that?
This guy says.
You should have said.
That's fine. Point 8275 is okay. You don't need the zero.
He does.
Yeah, you do need this.
Per 100.
Do you need the
It's
zero?
it's
I don't-
point
It's point-
8275 or 82.75 per hundred. It's the same thing.
I don't think you need the zero.
Per
It is per
hundred, yes.
$100, that's fine.
$100
If
specifically.
that decimal point wasn't there, it would be.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. Okay, so next item on our agenda is a public hearing regarding the community development block grant, fiscal year 25 application, citizen participation, public hearing, and authorizing resolution 2025-03. That's myself and Sarah running point. Sarah, you're running point. This is Sarah's baby, and we
One of my
appreciate it.
babies. Good evening, Mayor
Thank
and
you.
Council. I'm going to address you a little bit informally before,
That's fine.
and this is for the public to hear, so I can just explain it before I get into reading exactly what the CDBG requirements are for the public hearing. You may recall last year we applied for $500,000 grant to CDBG to demolish the multi-purpose building, demolish the Head Start buildings, and do some of the site work. We were not awarded the full $500,000. We were awarded a $100,000 grant to do site work and the beginning feasibility stuff with our architect. And throughout the process, we found out that there are funds available for a special project that we could now reapply for, up to $300,000 for specifically the removal of spot blight. So this application is a special application. As great as the community center is and will be, this is super specific to only demolishing the multipurpose building. And it's important that in our application and in the public hearing tonight, everybody knows that we are only discussing how important it is to remove the multipurpose building because of its disrepair, because of the hazardous materials. There's asbestos, lead paint. It's a danger. I'll read all about that, but I just wanted to be very clear that this is a separate application, but it's within the same fiscal year. So it's not for next year, it's still for this year, and there are funds available. And we've already been approved to apply for these funds.
And SFY is state fiscal year.
State fiscal year, yes.
And the building we're talking about, if you're looking at the site, is to the right-hand side for anybody that's not.
Yes, not familiar. So 130 Flower Street, and it's the building to the right. The lower single-story buildings are the Head Start buildings. Those are on the left, and the multipurpose building is to the right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go through and read this, and then if we have any questions, you'll let me know. So the purpose of this citizen participation public hearing is to review and to obtain citizen input for proposed CDBG applications for state fiscal year 25, the current fiscal year, which has additional funds available for special projects. Our proposed application is a special application for the demolition of the multipurpose building at 130 Flower Street for removal of spot blight. The summary of past use of funds, past block grant funds total over $3.4 million. There's a breakdown of activity regarding public facilities, housing, property acquisition, administration, economic development, demolition and clearance, and a relocation assistance. The FY25 CDBG funding available. The allocation of federal funds for community development block grants for the state of Maryland for state fiscal year was as follows. really, I think the most important point is $1.25 million for special projects, which is now up to $2 million. So I will just read this, that throughout the year, any funds from previous years not awarded or other funds that become available will be awarded to projects as needed under special projects or through the next competitive funding round. This also includes funds received due to monitoring findings, recaptures, or the return of program income. I do think it's important to note that the next competitive round has not been opened yet, so we are not eligible to apply for the next round of CDBG funding that has been paused. The national objective and eligible
Hold on one
activities.
second. You said that has been,
Yeah, it's not open. We are not.
I thought you said it has been lost.
No, it's not open, and we're not eligible to apply for the next competitive. It might be open next month. I think Cindy said maybe.
They actually shifted the date
Yeah.
with some of the uncertainty.
A lot of the uncertainty that's happening with federal and state funding.
That's what I wanted to hit
Yes.
on. I thought you had said lost, and I was like, I
No,
wanted to pause there.
Yes. So the objectives and eligible activities include the national objectives and eligible activities are related to the Title I of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, require that any project funded with community development block grant funds must meet a national objective and the activities must be eligible. There are 3 national objectives. 1 is the benefit to persons of low and moderate income, LMI. 2 is the prevention or elimination of slum and blight. And 3 is to meet an urgent need that is an immediate threat to community health, safety, or welfare. And though discussed below, additional information about meeting national objectives are found in the section entitled CDBG Income Determination and Qualifications. And then I would just refer to the fact that this project has been approved to apply for the elimination of spot blight. The current planned use of the CDBG funding, the town of Berlin is seeking funds to demolish the dilapidated multipurpose building at 130 Flower Street. It has been abandoned, tested positive for lead paint and asbestos, and suffered severe roof damage during the 2024-2025 winter storms. The building, once used for community events but long abandoned, is now a source of blight near Berlin's Head Start and Henry Park, which includes a playground and basketball courts frequented by families and children. The budget for the project is as follows. There's an overall budget that is landing us right now around $285,000. Although I'm working with Mary to adjust some of the administrative costs. So the town, last year when we applied for the CDBG funding, we said that we would put in $50,000 for administrative costs. I think that since we were already awarded the first $100,000, we can adjust that number down, essentially split it between these 2 projects so that the total from the town would be lower and the CDBG funding would be closer to $235,000. Those activities include building demolition, environmental assessments and hazardous material remediations, surface restoration, erosion and sediment control, utility capping, removal of a heating oil tank, and a 10% construction contingency. Citizens interested in commenting on any project discussed during this public hearing can do so at this time or submit a written comment to the town of Berlin, either directly to William Street or by email to mayorzac@berlinmd.gov. Thank you.
Now we got to open the public hearing.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll open the public hearing regarding Resolution 2025-03. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding this item, please do so. We'll keep it open for a moment. Gaskell, are you here to address the mayor and council?
No, I'm not. I'm in favor of it.
Seriously, anybody? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you, sir. Now, with that, we can adopt, we do need a motion to adopt.
Before you take a motion, I do want to make one small change, and I was out last week, so I apologize for not having caught this. In the paragraph that indicates the dollar amount of $300,000, really, it should read, instead of in the amount of, it should read in an amount not to exceed. And we'll make that correction for the signatures.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the change to the document will be in the paragraph that denotes the funding request, and it's a not to exceed $300,000. With that, we'll take an action by the council.
First,
Yes.
I would like something included that indicates repair of the roof would be fiscally unresponsible.
Okay.
That's stated in the
In the
application.
application, I mean, we're just applying for a full demolition.
Yes.
Yes.
but,
That it would be cost prohibitive to
Yes.
restore the building.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think it's in there, but we'll double check to make sure that it's
No,
covered.
Sarah talked about, one of the reasons was the roof is in terrible condition or condition that is not repairable.
Okay, I can clarify.
It's been exacerbated by the winter storms as well.
Yes, that's what you said, but I think our application would carry more weight if they realize that this building is unrepairable.
And Councilmember Orris Nur took some drone footage as well, so there would be video. and,
I've already
photography.
received permission to submit the video, not just still photos.
Yeah, and it shows that big hole in the roof, so.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
They
you
say
for
a
your
picture's
drone
worth 1,000.
assistance. Yes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I hope it's worth 300,000 words.
I hope so too. All right,
With that motion to approve 2025-03.
Second.
so I have a motion by Councilmember Nur, a second by Vice President Burrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect that the vote's unanimous. And thank you, Sarah,
Thank you all.
for, hold on, wait. So thank you for your work on this application. Mary, thank you for your help through the process as well. But this is the second round, as you said, of CDBG funding that we're seeking for the community center. Hopefully we'll be successful as well. But with this, there is the uncertainty associated with the development side that we've been trying to pursue with CDBG funds. And you always say, and Sarah too, that it's meant to fill the void of what may reside and not be overcomable at the local level. But that uncertainty that we're facing, I want everybody to know that it's not just you see stuff on the national news, it's hitting us here at home too.
Could you mention the earmark as well?
Go ahead.
Do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, this is another great example of funding that we were awarded. I'm using air quotes because they said that last year when we applied for congressionally directed spending we asked for $500,000, we received $479,000 of earmark funding for the development of the community center, all pending the passing of the budget this year. It was not passed.
The continuing resolution
did
does not
not
include.
pass. It did not include earmark funding, so that's money that we will not be receiving for the community center.
And they said you can resubmit.
I did already resubmit for next year,
And-
don't worry, but I don't feel
It's
very
not looking
hopeful.
likely. So funding that is critical to move the project forward is being.
It's being pulled out right from underneath us.
Sarah, one quick question. In your, looking at the history, did you determine when that multi-purpose building was first built? Do you have any idea?
I didn't
Or how it came
put
to
a
be?
year in.
How it came to be,
It was built in the early, it was built in the early 60s. And it was actually built as a temporary structure until they built this fabulous school, which never took place.
The county built it?
The county, yes.
County,
and the fabulous school was the one that was designed to replace Flower Street School.
And like, when did people stop using asbestos in buildings?
70s.
70s, so certainly before.
I think if I'm not mistaken, in 1972, it was outlawed.
Lead paint was, I believe, in the 70s as well.
So something
Well,
before that.
Thank you either way. We greatly appreciate it. And I know Jimmy and Jamie were eager to try and help us remove the building internally. But with the conditions and the environmental aspects and the buried tank, we can't do that ourselves. So we tried to pursue options internally first. But all right, thanks, Sarah. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hopefully we'll be
Thank you.
successful.
Hopefully.
All right, up next is agenda item 6, items for approval. We have one this evening, and that's motion 2025-23. We discussed this during the utility fund work session, and that's motion 2025-23, the purchase of a vac truck. Jamie, your running point.
Yeah, I'm seeking approval to give them a PO to start the process due to with the new tariffs and some of the new emission stuff. And because if we do not do this now, then it'll be out of my budget by July 1st. So we're just trying to ask if they receive a PO this week, we're good to go. There's no, Jack had a couple questions, and they were good questions, and he was put up, we locked in at the price they quoted me.
Thank you. Any questions for Jamie?
Yes. I missed that meeting. Tell me, don't we have a back truck now?
Yes, sir, and it's 17 years old, and it's starting to cost us some, it's starting to see it's at its life expectancy. Usually they recommend 10 years. We've made it 17 just because of trying to keep up on the maintenance. It does.
It's 17 years old.
Yes, sir.
And just because we talked about it last week, I believe you said that the potential tariff impact was 20%.
Yes.
So that's $125,000.
And it's a $623,000 truck, so that would put us way above.
Right. So that's why it's here so quick, I believe, because we wanted to lock it in so we could save the $125,000 potential increase.
So what would happen to the old truck?
They're going to, so they since a lot of people are doing what we're doing right now, they're going to have abundance of vac trucks to trade in, and he said that maybe he would give us a quote, an estimated of trade-in value, and we will get Lieutenant Fisher to put it on Gov Deals, and we can set a reserve bid onto it and try to sell it that way. But I have been watching on Gov Deals, and they have been selling for more than what they've been on there for the reserve. So,
what's the lead time? How long?
180 days.
That's good, given that most of the stuff's 2 years.
120 to 150 days.
Have we got our trash truck yet? No. It's here?
Yeah.
All right.
But we just want to get locked in, and because Natalie worked hard on getting the numbers for the, I worked on getting them numbers, but she worked hard to get the budget down. I don't want to lose the chance. I feel that it's time for us to get a new truck, because I just don't want something that happened catastrophic to that one, so that we can get a new one in here and keep moving forward.
Dean still slept on time flying. All right, let's open it up to the public. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2025-23, purchase of the vac truck. Okay, seeing none, let's take action by the council.
Motion to approve 2025-23.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orris, a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect that motion 2025-23 passed unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, up next are departmental reports, starting with town administrator, and then any feedback on the departmentals in the packet.
The only thing that I have is to note that this Friday, May 2nd, and at this point, the only other scheduled day is May 16th. Town Hall and Planning will be closing at noon so that staff can begin cataloging, dealing with paper records in an effort to move toward digitizing them so that when we undergo renovation, we don't have to take them out and bring them back in.
And this will be a monthly thing that we are going to do moving forward to the renovation until December.
Yeah, right now, the only dates that I've said
Right.
are the 2nd and 16th, but yes, it will probably continue for a while.
Because we've got a lot to go through.
Yes, it
And you think, and the mayor, you just said, you think
December.
roughly until December?
Well, December is when we plan to start.
Right, so you're thinking that like twice a month,
Probably
thereabout?
between now
Conference.
and in the summer, when things lighten up a little bit, we
Yeah.
might even do a little bit more,
Yeah.
just to get some of that done.
Yeah.
If it's too hot to be outside, maybe we're in here working.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Currently, do we have the equipment necessary for all of this?
Yeah, we will have to go out to bid. And that will be included, or it will go against the town hall renovation budget.
We'll probably have to advance more for that, because,
Possibly.
yeah. But the thing is that,
Your office,
what's that?
because of your
Yeah, because of my paper. Actually, my paper's probably not as bad as some, but still, I mean, the thing is that, unless you look at my desk, but it's gotten better. The thing is that Mary and I were talking about this. There's a lot of paper we've been wanting to digitize, and if we're moving it out, to her point, why the heck are we going to move it out and we're going to move it back in?
It needs,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And our record storage is going to shrink down a little bit here.
Right.
We don't want to, if we're not having to carry the paper, we don't want to, it's just too hard. When you think about when we have the changing of council members, each year And whenever the transition occurs, whoever's coming in, I've been through a couple of these now, probably not nearly as many as Mary, but the requests are somewhat constant, right? Like, because the documents that you all request are similar to what somebody else requested a couple of years ago when they took the seat. And it's going to be so much easier to just share that digitally and make it open. So.
Now I feel so bad about
No, I mean, it's fine. But I mean, we're gonna fix
I'm glad that
it.
we're doing this, not just because of the renovation, but I know that there have been other municipalities that I've talked to who have not done so and have lost records due to, weather. And once it's gone,
She's gone.
yeah, I mean, we can make it up.
Well, and there's, the truth of it is in records, particularly if you're dealing with records requests, if you can't lay your hands on it, it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Right.
Keyword searches, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna work out so much better. All right, anything on the departmental comments, Mary?
I don't have anything. Did Jimmy
Any
want to talk about
department
his spanking new truck?
Yeah.
The truck came in on Thursday, it's here, it's down Public Works.
Can you bring it up to the next meeting in May?
Sure.
Is it ready to do its thing?
Well,
It'll get letters.
right now we're getting in process to our paperwork, we're getting our title taxes and our title done, getting insured. And so, yeah, hopefully in 2 weeks we'll be ready to start.
So bring her up next
Bring her
meeting.
up.
If you don't mind, we'll try and get in at like 5:30
Okay.
and take a look at her and then she can.
Do a little demonstration.
Perfect. We'll lift,
I was going to say, let everybody have a turn with the
We'll lift
arm.
him up in the
We
arm.
can put someone in one of the carts and lift them up, I don't know.
Let's not break it.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, departmentals? Any questions for the department head? Council?
Not a department head, but, Sarah, would you,
I would love to. Thank you. I'm so happy that after I get to sit in front of you all and talk about the removal and demolition of the multi-purpose building, I can transition to one of our next meetings, which will be on May 6th in the evening at St. Paul's United Methodist Church. And I'll give the exact details, but also May 7th here in Town Hall, 12 to 1:30, where we are doing engagement sessions with our architectural team about the community center. So this is a really exciting time in our feasibility study that they have done the draft work, but are really looking for input and feedback from people from all over town. You don't have to even live right in the town of Berlin to be able to participate in these community engagement sessions. If you think that you're somebody who will be using the community center and you want to know more about it, or you want to make sure that an element of the design that you're looking forward to or hoping for, a lot of which was already captured in our survey that was conducted by Beacon. This is kind of taking it from paper into a 3D modeling situation that they're going to be running exercises and dot voting, and we're really getting to move forward in the process. And the way that they feel most strongly about doing it is with public engagement, both in the evening at the church on Flower Street and during the day in Town Hall. So we have two options. That's on May 6th and 7th, and it's been posted on our social media as well. So that's happening. And also on May 7th, if I might add, in the morning, we have Bike to School Day, which Buckingham Elementary School is doing such a fabulous job of outreach. They're asking people to come out onto the streets just to clap and support and wave to the kids who are riding their bikes. They just sent me information today about the 3 different meeting points. One is Henry Park, where I will be asking town employees to help volunteer because it is a dangerous crossing across Route 113. So I'll be asking for volunteers to help with the kids that are going to be riding their bikes on the morning of May 7th. I've invited our friends from Maryland Department of Transportation, the State Highway Authority, our people who are helping manage our Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhood grant. I've asked them to come and see exactly what would happen if we had a pedestrian bridge, how people would be able, kids in particular, would be able to use it to cross over 113 safely. So it's just an awesome time for the community center and for our Reconnecting Communities. Even though the grant has been very slow to get moving, federal money, it's definitely meeting a next threshold on May 7th, and I hope to see you all there, both at Bike to School and at the community engagement sessions.
What are the other 2 locations to meet up?
One is the library and the other might be Henry's Mill, but I was really focused on Henry Park, so I'll get back to you on those two.
And the children that are going to meet at Henry Park, and oftentimes, I won't be able to make it this year, but typically every year I'm with them, they talk about how it's an awesome opportunity to do once a year.
Yeah, that's
And
the only time we really get to do it.
right, and the whole
And it
purpose of the
takes
grant
support
is
from our
to be,
police department to be able to do it safely.
right, and the whole purpose of the grant, Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods, is to really bridge that infrastructure one way or another to be able to make it so the children can do that on a regular basis whenever.
And
they-
have a community center to reach.
Correct. Traffic going each direction safely.
The children at Buckingham that live on the opposite side of 113 are very fortunate to have that day. I know that there were a lot of children on the opposite side of 113 that attended Berlin Intermediate School that would have loved to bike to school.
They're being
often.
invited this year.
Oh, yay!
Yes.
That is exciting.
But
I believe
keep in
the
mind,
PTA are
Buckingham,
working together.
yeah, but
So
Buckingham
it's
always
a
runs
lot
point.
later.
But Buckingham always runs point on it. So
Okay.
this year, go ahead, Sarah.
I believe that I spoke with the head of the PTA at Buckingham, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there was a post about it and BIS and Buckingham.
That is exciting.
also.
That is so glad. That warms my heart.
Me
There were
too.
so many days watching children trying to cross the highway while out during morning duties, and your heart is pounding because
Mhm.
that child should not be crossing the highway on a bike, first of all. But otherwise, they would have never had that opportunity to ride to school on their bike or what have you. That's exciting.
It is really exciting.
Thank you, Sarah. Now,
Great, Sarah.
council members, if you plan to attend one of the, not the bike to school thing, if you do, let Sarah know. But that way we can publish a quorum if needed. But if you're going to attend either one of the community center meetings, please let us know so we can kind of keep an eye on if we hit the quorum level. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, a quick question for Natalie. Natalie, were you or Ryan able to make any headway on getting information for a permitting module for Tyler System?
We're
The
waiting
reason I
on-
asked is I was talking to Matt Lake, who's the assistant planning director, and they are using that module with Tyler in the county. So
They have options to add on, it's pretty
Yeah.
much, we've emailed our representative for our area, and they should be getting us something this week.
yeah, apparently there's different levels you can
Mhm.
buy into it.
They definitely have the module for planning and permitting and like service orders in Tyler, and they also have asset and inventory management as well.
Which is something Tim will.
Yes, this is the two separate modules, but we're getting more information.
Excellent.
All right, let's open it up to comments from the public. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding anything on your mind? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the council. We'll start with Vice President Burrow.
I have one thing.
Steve took your thunder like twice last time.
No, at the beginning of the meeting, the mayor made reference to long-serving council member that has passed, Paula Lynch. And I was one that served with Ms. Lynch for several years. She was a splendid representative of our town. One knowledgeable, one able, one always informed. And I am saddened by her passing, but I am elated to be able to say to the public, she was a wonderful lady.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Orrs?
Yeah, I just, a couple of things. I was just, there was a posting from the Public Service Commission that sometime in May, there's a virtual meeting about a potential solar facility outside of the town of Berlin. And the way that the statement was presented made it seem like it was for the town, or the town would immediately benefit. And I hadn't heard anything from our side where this was a potential to connect to or do
It's not.
anything.
It is
So
not.
I want to clear that up.
Because it's outside of the town.
Yep.
It is outside, it's on 346 on the south side, headed toward Route 50. So if you're leaving Main Street, headed toward like the power plant, and Route 50 is on the left-hand side. And then with that, it will be behind the new Westview development. So folks in Westview may want to take a position on that. The town's position has been that there needs to be adequate buffering and mature vegetation that does block that. And our recommendation through the letters that we've sent to the county and that will be reiterated in the public hearing side of things is that we would urge them to plant the vegetation early, because sometimes they'll do the capital improvements or installation of the panels, and then they come back and do the vegetation. And then you got 3 or 4 years before you actually get the buffer you really want. So our recommendation is to do the buffer early. With that, we also want, keeping in mind it's outside of the town of Berlin, right? That we want the good adequate buffering of Old Ocean City Boulevard, so you're not riding down and just seeing a whole bunch of solar panels.
Okay, I just wanted to clear it up for, if anyone else had any questions. And another question I received from more than one resident actually was just the current makeup of the community center committee. Is there opportunity for anyone to be added to the committee? Is there an opportunity for, other than these upcoming meetings, which is great timing, but is there any opportunity for anyone to be added to the actual committee who may want to serve?
We haven't added folks to the committee. We do have folks that have decided to start coming on their own, whether they have a vested interest in the community center, whether they want to just help out. They're not formal members, which have been adopted by the mayor and council, but they are still there. So if you have somebody that's interested, have them reach out to Sarah.
I keep a running list of people who have expressed interest, and whenever there's an opportunity to engage either publicly, we had the kickoff at the library last year. Whenever there's meetings like that, I always make sure to send a special invitation. So they should just reach out to me directly so I can keep them informed. And then whenever we have meetings of the committee, I think that there will be more opportunities in the future as we move into these next phases to have more input and engagement, but it's really hard to run a committee with 20 people on it, and it's already, pretty stacked with the members that represent the BCIA, the county, and the town.
And there's a core group that are the advisory committee. We have other folks, as Sarah indicated, that come, but they participate in some of the conversation, as long as it's not, if we have 30 people come, we can't have everybody participate in the conversation. But if you're interested, then certainly reach out and share that contact information.
So then, looking kind of in the future, we can anticipate, hopefully, some more actual like monthly meetings or quarterly meetings or something where there's an actual schedule.
Maybe. Right now, maybe like once the community center gets into operation. Right now, the group meets as needed, whether that's for feasibility study stuff before we can take it to the public for comment, whether that's reviewing some of the stuff that came in through Beacon or coming up with a scope before it came here. It's more ad hoc right now.
Okay.
But if they'd like to play a part in community awareness, I would love all of the assistance that I can get at the Peach Fest, because my little old self cannot be that person that does all that community outreach. Not that others aren't doing that in other capacities, but that's one of those times that if someone wants to play a part in getting the word out about what we are, who we are, how to sell the flags and what have you, to make money to support this event, reach out so that you can be one of those helping hands to help with that booth at the Peach Festival.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Jimmy and his crew for finding a new home for the sign. I think personally, I think that's a better location right where that is right now.
It'll move around.
I like that it moves around. I think that is good. But right there is just kind of like, bam. So thank you. And that was it.
Councilmember Green.
Out of order, I think. Thank you. Yeah, so I just said, while she was looking at Kate, I realized that I submit my financial disclosure, so I'll be soon. Anybody else?
Oh, wow.
Am I the only one?
So, me too.
Okay.
I told Kate I'd bring it in on Friday.
done?
She said, what
No.
about Monday?
Oh, yay! Oh, sorry.
No, I got
And it's gonna be Wednesday.
start with printing.
I'm always
Anyway, so yeah, but I was just, be catching up with you soon.
You were funny.
One thing,
I thought you were gonna have 2 days.
I just.
I have 2 days? Oh.
Well,
Go ahead.
So we
Yeah.
talked about Paula. I just wanted to talk about Mrs. Lynch as well, just a minute. So she served on the council from 1988 to 2014. And I met her right around that time, 1988, when I was a 13-year-old, and I was middle school at Worcester Country School. And many of you know, she was the business manager, bookkeeper back then. Talk about a firecracker. I really had so many experiences with her, so many memories of her. I remember her last meeting here in 2014. She was sitting down there. She was retiring, and she was funny. The sidewalk project was being approved. I was here, and she wanted to make sure that in the budget, the sidewalk project was in. And Jane Kreider assured her that it was. And then about a year ago, she called me because we were doing the bond project, and she wanted to know why in the budget the debt service wasn't accounted for. So I know Natalie probably can appreciate that, because that was her, the attention to detail. Looking through the budget at that point, and not, she's not responsible for it, but that was her, and it really said a lot to me about what she was. My first memory with her was junior year in high school. We were in charge of the prom, and we were booking bands, so everybody had to go into her office to talk about money. Anytime money was discussed, especially with students. So we had a band quote for $500. So I was make sure you put it on speaker, and she was there going like this, go down. It's got to be down lower. $500, no way. And she's like, that's not the best they could do, she told me. And so we got it down to $300. That was Mrs. Lynch. That was what she brought that through her whole life. And but I thought she had a charm about her as well. I think she was a little harsh, maybe on the outside. But inside, I thought she had a heart of gold. And I would really like this group, if this is not something that necessarily needs to be decided. And I know at some point in time, back, was it 10, 12 years ago, when Berlin Falls Park, and there was some naming suggestions, but I think that it deserves a little bit of consideration for this group to consider the new road at Herring Park, potentially naming it Lynch Road. Like for it just to be considered, doesn't have no decision, of course, it's early on in that game anyway, but I think it's certainly fitting. And I certainly wouldn't want to offend anybody else that is deserving as well, and that's the problem, naming something, right? But I think it would be very fitting, so, and a nice tribute for her.
Good. Thank you. All right, Councilmember Nur.
Yes, I too had a very good rapport with Ms. Lynch. I've known her for a long, long time. In fact, she was the one that encouraged me to run for council, so I very much appreciated our discussions over the years. My first interaction with her was I hadn't paid my Worcester Prep tuition. I was like 2 days late. And she gives me a call, and it was like dealing with the IRS. It was very intense, and you did not want to mess up by not paying your tuition, so it never happened again. She was great. I do like your comment about the buffering for the solar field. I think that's a good call to pre-plan it. So many times in the county, when I was on the planning commission, it was, even though it was on the site plan, it always became an afterthought. And then afterwards, half the vegetation died, and there was no follow-up. So if we can make that happen, that would be a good thing. Jimmy, kudos to you for the sign at Stephen Cater Park. Welcome to town of Berlin. It looks great. I guess you refurbed it, or?
Yeah, we cleaned it up, painted, touched it up, went on it last week.
Yeah.
There's lights on it.
Looks very nice. Yeah. Good job. Kelsey, great job on the all the work you did on the healthcare.
She left.
Not here. Oh, okay, I thought she was down there.
Had a game to get
There you
to.
go. Anyways,
Kids' games.
Saving all that money was really a welcome addition. One question for Mayor, Visitor Center. I wanted to ask you, what is the plan for that? Because there's been a lot of discussion.
Yes, we did all get something in our inboxes. So with that, I was hoping to get an email out to all of you before we were here, but it's okay, I don't mind. Sarah and I and Ivy had a conversation last week following the LDC meeting. The visitor center will need, and Mary and I have talked with Ivy to let everybody know at the visitor center that's currently using it, that that will be used for town staff when the renovation takes place. Now with that, the plan for the building post renovation, because all the staff will be here or at planning, is unknown. So when Ivy, Sarah, and I talked, we discussed the email that all of us received requesting that a nonprofit be able to use the building at a reduced rate. And when we had that conversation, what I said to Ivy was it's probably unlikely that that will occur because it is a below market rate and it would be therefore subsidized by the taxpayers of Berlin. But that option would be included in our discussion as a body about the path forward. That analysis would include if we rented the building at market rate, if we sold the building, if we did the nonprofit rate at a reduced side of things. And with that, any other ideas that any of you want to see can be tabletopped, and then we discuss that together as a group. But in the short term, anybody in that building needs to vacate because we're going to need to be able to use it for town staff.
When do you anticipate that happening, not to late fall?
Well, and we've communicated that. Ivy has communicated that to each one of them.
Okay.
They know that that's coming down the pike. The request that ended up in all of your inboxes is stemming from the conversation that Ivy, Sarah, and I had, which was the request, hey, can the mayor and council let a nonprofit use it at a reduced rate? And I said, you should communicate to them to understand that that's probably not the likely scenario that will occur. Because it would be taxpayer subsidized at that point. So that's what prompted that. So hold it, and it will be a topic for discussion. So
Can I just throw out, since it's on my mind right now, that for the group, while we discuss the future of that, there was a lot of, in my opinion, there's a lot of value in when that was, there's a painting on the wall.
it's the old post office.
Yeah, there was money put in for the little painting on the pavement beside it. So I just want to keep that sort of thing in mind while we discuss the future of the visitor center. Not to piggyback on comments, but I mean, I think that we need to keep that in mind as well.
And ideas are open. The future of that building is not set in stone. But you have to understand that town staff will not be using that building, right? It's designed for town staff to be either here or in the planning department.
When the renovation.
When the renovation.
After the renovation.
After the
Town
renovation
staff
occurs.
will heavily be using it during the
Correct.
renovation.
But that the future of that building is open for discussion. Nothing's set in stone, but I also wanted to be transparent with the person that asked and say, your idea is probably unlikely, given that it would require a pretty heavy subsidy, plus the town burdening any renovations or improvements to an old building that we already dumped some money into. So just trying to be transparent and they got circumvented, but it's okay. That's everyone's prerogative.
So is the visitor center part of the town hall complex renovation?
It is not.
It is not.
It is not.
But it's, because we already own
But
the
you're gonna be
building
using
and
it.
have space,
Correct.
we'll use it rather than renting
We'll be using
trailers
some of the
or
police
whatever.
department, we'll be using some of
And
the
then
visitor center.
the goal at the end is the visitor center would be unoccupied by town staff.
That is correct.
And econ development and planning, and everybody will be between these two buildings.
Correct. And a 24-hour vestibule will be down beside the bathrooms, accessible with all the documents that you would typically get from the visitor center would be available there, as well as in the old planning building, which will house economic development and the volunteers for the Welcome Center.
So chamber would need some more space.
Anybody that's occupying the building would have to find new space, that's correct. Councilmember Nichols.
Call me a creature of habit. I'm not looking to be a squeaky wheel, but I have always liked the idea of having visitor center on Main Street, but I also like the concept of everyone being in one location, one central hub. So that's just my thought on that. But I was crazy excited, and so is my household, about next weekend because it's farmers market weekend. So we're really excited to see how that's going to go, and looking forward to the new additions and all the things. So that's a big thing. This bus, or the May 7th Bicycle Day, that's going to mean a lot too. Everybody looks forward to it. So I'm hoping and praying for beautiful weather for all parties involved. I know that the new assistant principal at Buckingham, Mr. Postel, is more than likely beside himself. Because I know that Bicycle Day is something, he was our PE teacher at Snow Hill Elementary. Bicycle Day was a huge thing for him, for his 4th grade students. So being able to see that happening in this community that he has now become a part of, I'm quite sure that he too will, that's huge and big. Guys, it is flipping May. It is May in 2 days. I don't know where in the world 2025 has gone, but it's May. And that means, a lot of change, seasonal and all those things. I was hoping for one more snow day, but I guess I'll give them. I said I was going to give it up. I let it go, guys. I let it go. She said it and I did it. I let it go. But at the same time, it's great to see everybody out and about in town. I'm just hoping that, as my grandson said Friday when we were in town, I hope that there's no rubbish that people are dropping on the sides of the street. He stops and picks little things up and puts them in the trash can. So please, folks, keep the rubbish in cans while you're in town, or anywhere in Berlin, period.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to comments from the mayor and mayor's office. Do you have anything else you want to add?
We are getting very close to being able to launch our street sign auction. It is happening. Jimmy and I are working on it. We have really made some progress, and I hope that by the next mayor and council meeting, I'll be able to tell you more about the exact process, but
it's coming soon.
It's coming soon, and proceeds from that will also be going to benefit the future community center. So all good things.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Julie. You guys waxing those signs?
We power washed.
That's good enough. It'll work. Mother Nature does it. All right, comments from the mayor. Let's talk just briefly about the last mayor and council meeting. We had residents of Baker Street and Commerce immediately adjacent to Tracks and Yaks come forward. Letters have been sent to the business of Tracks and Yaks, to the Delaware Railroad, to State Highway. They've all been shared with all of you. We have received feedback from each one of them, working through the concerns, and staff have also gone on site to Baker Street to be able to perform a walkthrough of the ability to adjust parking there. Potentially the width of the street may be too wide to limit some of the parking on the sides from a public safety perspective, but we are going to still work through the if that is a viable option, and the residential parking side of stuff. Anything I'm missing that maybe you want to add?
No, there's a lot to consider moving forward.
So.
I would like to know, not necessarily for this meeting, but coming meetings, have we got any documented complaints from the residents of Baker Street in that area concerning that?
From the police department?
Yeah. To the police department.
Yes.
I'll get that.
Well, okay. We did, I do want to speak to one call for service that was posted to social media about the police department response time. And correct me, fill in the blanks anywhere that I may go too far, but the response time was quoted at being rather long. And I want to say that our police department has really great response times at responding to citizen requests or calls for service, but they are ranked, right? So like things, if there's a higher priority call, the police department will respond to that first, which I think we would all agree is prudent over time and resources. So when that happens, our police department does its best to try and communicate that to residents that may be calling for service. That was done, and there was a little bit of a longer response time, but it was communicated early on that there were some higher priority calls, but that the police department did respond. And then you did follow up as well. So I just want that to be out there with the public, that our department is very responsive for that.
Will you be able to share those letters, those response letters with the council?
We could summarize them. It's several emails. Like if we can do a summary, that's not difficult to do. Plus I had a meeting with the railroad, which we can summarize offline. So. All right, that concludes my comments. I am looking forward to the farmer's market as well. And then Jazz and Blues, Wine and Brews, I think is coming up too, Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday, busy days for us. So. All right, let's see, comments from the press. Nothing? Thank you for being here, both of you. Let's do Vice President Burrell, you're up.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Nur, all in favor say aye. If you object, you're here by yourself. Councilmember Nichols, I'm sorry. Maybe sound traveling, let the record reflect.